You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the chiropractic profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, and Chiropractic Unity. Let's hustle.
All right, everyone, this is Chiro Hustle. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and this is our first pilot episode of the podcast ever, and we're very excited to share everything with you guys today. And here's your host, Jim Chester.
Hey guys, what an honor. It's been a long time coming. This Chiro Hustle podcast has been a brainchild for over 2 years, and today we have the opportunity to interview a good friend of mine and a leader in the chiropractic profession, Dr. Matthew Walker. Dr. Matt Walker really inspired me to get into the chiropractic profession, and I can't say enough about how grateful I am to have chosen chiropractic, or maybe chiropractic chose me. I know a lot of people know who you are, Dr. Matt Walker, but sometimes we can uncover some things about ourselves that others might not know, and I'd really like you to tell everybody on Chiro Hustle who you are and a little bit about your chiropractic story.
Sure. Who I am, I guess we'll just start with the story, and I think that would kind of differentiate who I am. I got into chiropractic because I had a neck injury playing football in college. I was 19, 20 years old. I was a receiver going up over the middle, got hit under the chin by a safety, which you see those typical stories where a guy basically gets knocked out. Had a whiplash injury to my neck, created a disc issue, and they basically told me that I wasn't going to play the rest of the season. And a good friend of mine at the time, TJ Sheedy, said his mom was a chiropractor, and I knew nothing about chiropractic whatsoever, and said that his mom could help me. I said anything to get me back on the field, so I went and saw her, and I got adjusted every day for a week, and I played the following Saturday, to the dismay of many. So I knew there was something to chiropractic at that time, but I was kind of groomed to be in business and finance. I had a degree, or working on a degree in finance with economics and accounting minors. So I went and followed what my family thought was best for me to start out, and that was working for a Fortune 50 company. And it didn't take me long, about 6 months or so. I had helped people re-engineer their financial lives, and then saw them go back to their same old ways and call me for help again 6 months later. And after that happened a couple of times, and I knew I couldn't help them. They had just dug themselves a bigger hole. I thought I needed to do something different. So that's kind of my story. And I walked on to Palmer College to play rugby, just using my athletic background to earn a scholarship. And I continue to try to give back as the president of the Rugby Alumni Organization, the Dr. David E. Palmer Athletic Trust. So we try to continue to perpetuate the scholarship program and, in fact, expand it so that more young athletes have the same opportunity that I did to become a doctor, a chiropractor, a doctor who tries to help people without drugs and surgery by using their athleticism and spreading the word of chiropractic through athletic excellence. That's what that organization stands for and why rugby was started close to 60 years ago now. It originated in 1960.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about my background, my story, where I'm at today. I've been out of Palmer for almost 10 years, nine years now.
Wow.
Yeah, no, time flies. I think I met you when I was in Palmer.
Yeah, we met just as soon as you were about to finish up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot's happened in 9 years, grown a ton. I came out, I think there's part of my story too. I came out like most guys graduating. I didn't have a chiropractic family or background or anything, so I didn't have that to run to when I graduated. I took an associate job for pennies
Oh, I remember, bro.
Yeah. Worked myself into a position where I could buy out the clinic that I was running, and then brought a partner in to take that clinic over and built another clinic. And at this point, I've built and sold 2 chiropractic practices and also built a very successful weight loss practice.
That's awesome, man.
So earlier you were talking about doing things different. What would you say makes you unique in the chiropractic world?
What makes me unique? Probably my financial background. And having worked for a Fortune 50 company, I got to kind of see the inside of business modeling, financial business modeling. Outside of being a chiropractor, every chiropractor is amazing at being able to restore health and function for their patients. But I think the internal workings of a business, just like the internal workings of the body, might escape a lot of docs out there, not just chiropractors, but people in general. Outside of healthcare, what's the second biggest problem in our world? It's money. If we could correct health and money, then we would be in an awful good situation.
And the third is relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, continue to build those relationships.
Everyone's bank account has a subluxation.
Yeah, that's well said. So I think that my financial background and the ability to use that knowledge I learned at a Fortune 50 company inside of the chiropractic business model, I've been able to streamline it, make it very efficient. So the docs and the models that bought my 2 practices really just have to focus on getting new patients in the door to help them and helping the people get better that do come through the door. And the rest falls in line for them because it's already all set up.
Well, it sounds like you have a pretty sound principle when it comes to chiropractic and when it comes to business. What are a couple of things or mantras or quotes that keep you going during your tough times?
Well, I think a mantra that is like my steady go-to is a biblical scripture. It's Matthew 7:7-8. It's ask and it shall be given to you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. And this was a scripture that I shared with an early patient who was a youth leader for troubled teens, and that meant a lot to me, my relationship with him. So I've always kind of clung to that specific quote, but secondary to that, I something that just gets your brain thinking would be like Albert Einstein quote, imagination is more important than knowledge. A lot of times we get wrapped up in the rigmarole of life and forget to imagine the possibilities. And so if I feel like I'm getting a little stuck in things, I refer to that quote.
Yeah, man, that really helps us segue, because I honestly believe that the imagination for coming up with a podcast like this, something that teaches people how to hustle chiropractic and how to become better from listening to greats like you and people that are actually out there doing this thing and being successful with chiropractic. I think any of the listeners that are out there that are going to listen to this segment are going to pick up on some information and may want to reach out to you because of your expertise with business building.
I'm pretty accessible, very responsive on Facebook, so it's an easy way to get a hold of me through a message. And I'm wide open to helping people in any way, shape, or form.
That actually leads right into our next question. What would we be able to accomplish if more people knew about what you were doing?
Man, that's a tough question. When you sent me this question to look over, I don't really think my cause is defined yet. It's always growing and being shaped. With being the president of the Dr. David E. Palmer Athletic Trust, my goal is to inspire young athletes to take a look at becoming a chiropractor and the possibility of earning an athletic scholarship at Palmer College. For playing rugby, it's both men's and women's. We've got 30 full scholarships that aren't even full right now. So there's a huge opportunity for young athletes, high school and into mid-20s, we find people that maybe they don't like their first career and they want to switch over, or they're an undergrad and they know they want to get in the healthcare field. Or maybe you're just like me and you're going down a different path, art or business or something like that, and you know you're a good athlete and you want something with a little more service orientation, a way to control your life, run your own business. This isn't a better opportunity out there. By the time I graduated Palmer my last year, I had a full scholarship to become a doctor, and that's just unheard of, to be able to go to get a doctorate degree and get a full scholarship. And then from a consulting standpoint, people that do reach out to me, I think one of my main purposes in trying to develop a system for this is I want to be able to share a way for people to improve their net worth, essentially, and to have an exit strategy or a long-term plan. Because I hear so many people out there that they get 30 years into it and all they have is their practice as an asset, and the practice is their personality. There's no systems behind it, and they don't have a lot to hand down unless their kid becomes a chiropractor and takes over their practice, essentially. Or maybe they have, you hear all the time, people have a doc has a health issue that comes up and they can't practice the way they once did. So you need to have some other strategies in the background, developing passive income streams, investing in a retirement plan. As a business owner, there are tremendous retirement benefits out there. 3 things I just drop quick gold is a single K 401k, a simple IRA, or a SEP. Are retirement specific plans for small business owners. A single K is unreal what you can put away in it. You can put up to $50,000 per partner, or a little over $50,000 per partner, tax deductible every year if you don't have employees. So if you're just a small startup, SEP or the simple IRA, not quite as much, but you have a little more flexibility if you do have employees. So just things like that, people should be evaluating whole life insurance, and there are so many opportunities out there in which people have to utilize their money, and I don't think they quite often know what to do with it, so they just get spent, and then 20, 30 years later they're still working the same as they were in the beginning. So if I could help people with that, enlighten them, and give them some options, I think that's one way I could definitely bring, I guess, the chiropractic profession along and improve it.
That's awesome, man. I think that's one of the things that really sets you apart from the rest of the pack is your business sense and your willingness to help others, man. I really appreciate that. I know you said something earlier about how you implemented a weight loss program into your chiropractic facility. Can you elaborate a little bit about that and what you did and how you succeeded with that?
Yeah, I'll share what I can. I have partners involved in that business, so there's some intellectual property, copywriting things that I'm not allowed to elaborate on. But the purpose in creating weight loss with chiropractic was always, these people have need, and we could get them exposed to chiropractic. If they're overweight, they're probably toxic, they're subluxated. Let's get people in for an obvious, it's a billion-dollar industry. People are beating down doors to figure out how to get to lose weight. So in my mind, I felt like it was a quick start business. I think there was a lot of opportunity out there, and helping people understand why they got overweight in the first place, and then counseling them along. We've had tremendous success with it. I think chiropractors are in a perfect position to help people with weight loss. The brunt of it naturally. You want to try to suppress their appetite by giving them a higher quality product to consume. Not just the sugar rush in the beginning, which is where most people are coming off of. That's why I promote and I'm a big supporter of exogenous ketones, keto OS specifically. I think it's a natural appetite suppressant because it's food, it's fuel for your body, and it's a cleaner fuel. So people's appetites go down even though they're not consuming, a large, hearty pancakes and muffins and all these things that people eat on a regular basis for breakfast. And then as people start to wean off those carb-based diets and breakfasts, you want to introduce lean meats and low glycemic index, nutritional components, and then counsel them how to make that themselves along the way, so they feel empowered and they're not so dependent on a yo-yo type diet, which a lot of people will go just bouncing in and out of it. And you gotta talk them through it too. It's a process. It's not one adjustment and you're magically fixed. Most people come to you and they've had these issues for years. It's chronic obesity. It's chronic spinal dysfunction. So you have to coach them and guide them for an extended period of time. Most of our programs are 12 weeks to 20 weeks. And people are having tremendous results through that, so they're excited and inclined to stay engaged. And there's not a better marketing tool than somebody walking around that dropped 30 pounds. They're going to tell you about weight loss. They're going to tell you about chiropractic. They're going to tell you about all the people that helped them get to where they got to. That should be inside of your facility.
So I know as becoming the doctor and being able to give people guidance on healthy choices for whether it be spinal care or whole body care, how does it make you feel as a person when you can make this impact with people?
I mean, it's a driving force in me. I got to give a little shout out to the Haases, Sandy and Jason Haas out in Colorado, who gave me exposure to what they were doing with weight loss early on in my career, and just hearing the impact and watching Jason they videoed him giving a presentation to a room full of people and the impact it was having on those people's lives, changing heart disease and reducing the risk of cancer. And then secondary, Dane Donahue, I thought is a great leader out there, and exposed me to the word metabolic syndrome, which is a precursor for heart disease and cancer. And a lot of people can quickly be screened for this stuff and be made aware, which most people just are clearly not aware of it. People don't want to die of cancer and heart disease. We just need to raise the awareness that's the internal mechanisms. What I'm trying to do with the weight loss protocols. People buy weight loss, but internally my heart is pushing. If you're losing weight, you're reducing your metabolic syndrome markers too, which we measure with blood work. And so it's profound, and it's certainly the underlying driver in these businesses that I've been able to model.
That's awesome, man. It's always nice to hear people give back and be thankful for the people that led them down the path to learning new things and being a new person and being able to implement new ideas. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to you for helping me start my chiropractic career and helping me get out of my own way and showing to myself that I could actually be a force in this world and help a lot of people with my intangibles and the things that are deep down inside of me as well. So I just, anytime I get a chance to, and I'm on a interview or somebody asks me a big, deep question, I always pay reverence and say thank you to Dr. Matthew Walker for always being there for me and to be able to give me some guidance in starting my chiropractic career. So thanks, bro.
Yeah, man, I certainly appreciate hearing that, obviously. I had an opportunity to see you on a friendship level, and so we got to know you well, and then the better you know somebody, the more you can really start to help them, which is, a lot of that's part of people getting out of their own way, is letting people see who they are so that they can help them.
Now, I know recently Palmer just did a research study, and we've learned that people are actually utilizing chiropractic care way more than we originally thought. So where do you see the chiropractic profession in 5, 10, or even 20 years from now?
Man, I love that you brought this question up, because I know a little bit about the Gallup study. And I'm looking at this, I feel like it's still very difficult to predict because we haven't fully unified as a profession. I think the key for this profession is to really become unified and support one another despite minor technical discrepancies in how somebody treats a patient as far as technique. If we can get past that and just get on the same page that we are all here to help people and minimize the use of medication and surgical procedures, if at all possible, the sky is the limit. You know, I look at chiropractic kind of like Apple was in, you know, the 90s when they had like a 5% market share of the PC market. I don't know what Apple has in the market share in the PC market today, but I guarantee it's more than 5%, significantly higher. And chiropractic is perfectly positioned to grow exponentially through the next 5, 10, 20 years. The sky is the limit. You know, the research showed that I think 14% of people are utilizing chiropractic, as opposed to some studies that showed as low as 6%. So more people are utilizing it than what was known, and I think that can continue to escalate as our message becomes more streamlined, and it becomes known that if you go see a chiropractor, you have the opportunity to get healthy without somebody offering you medication or a surgical procedure, which seems to me, my own personal common sense, even before I became a chiropractor, was the natural first step to me. You know, when I went and saw Dr. Paula Sheedy to get my neck worked on because I had the injury playing football, I had a lot of options. You know, my athletic trainers at the school had, you know, said, do a bunch of rehab here and, you know, let's get an MRI and maybe have a surgical consultation. And when I heard I could just go and she would handle it in a natural way, of course, my first instinct was, I'm going to go there first, then we'll see about these other options. And for me, fortunately, it worked the way it does for most people, but a lot of people just don't know. So if we can get everybody streamlined and understanding as, you know, community and the country and one plane of thought what a chiropractor represents. And from my perspective, I think it's natural healthcare, an opportunity to go see a doctor who will try to give you options that are not medication and not surgical.
Yeah, man, I think that's a huge eye-opener for most people out there. And before I got into chiropractic, just like you, man, I didn't know that the body had the power to heal itself. I thought that when we got sick, we went to the doctor and they wrote us a script and we took the medication and we just tried to heal our body with that. And as I've become more integrated into the chiropractic world and understood more of the chiropractic philosophy, is the body does heal itself naturally and it doesn't need anything extra in it. It simply needs no interference. So if we can start correcting these things that most people are very misunderstood on, called subluxations, the body can naturally start to flow again, and there's more connection from the brain to the body and the body to the brain.
No doubt, even more efficient. And the body will heal even if you're not under chiropractic care. It just won't heal as well, and it will heal with some, you know, weak spots in it or weaker spots in it, and you won't be able to maximize your full potential.
And from my co-host over here, Luke Millette, he was suffering from migraine headaches. And I believe it was Jocelyn was the first chiropractic adjustment he ever had.
Oh, yeah?
I believe
awesome.
So. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, my wife stepped up, huh?
Yep. I think that was 3 years ago now. 3 or 4 years.
Atta girl. Today is our second year anniversary, so
oh, wow.
Shout out to her.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
So, well, we've talked a lot about business. We've talked a lot about chiropractic. Now I want to jump into something that I think most people will find very favorable that they might not know, and that's marketing, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing to leverage marketing for what you do, and what can you teach others that might be listening to this that will walk away with something that they feel like they've got some real value out of it?
That's a great question. I think that people just want to know who the person is. You know, this world has been so mucked with identity theft and all this digital aspects. So if I could give people listening one thing to take away, be transparent, be consistent, and be present, and be the same in both worlds, online and in public. What I try to do is just share my life as it comes and be transparent, and always be open to helping people in any way, shape, or form, and not necessarily have a strategic plan in how I communicate. I just want, my strategy is to help people, and if I put information out there and I get feedback, and I learn from it, and I utilize that to try to help more people.
So what key marketing strategies could you not do without? Like, how do you use media? Do you like traditional or social media? Like, what works best for you?
Well, I think that you have to have a web page, of your business, or each business that you have should have their own individual web page. Maybe a gold nugget here is I think that every doc should have a web page for themselves individually as a public figure. That's one thing that I think has helped me differentiate myself in the marketplace. A while ago, I had a college intern develop a web page for me and kind of let him run with it with his own spin, and then tying that back to everything else that I'm doing in social media. The more tie-ins you can have, the better, because it creates more transparency. If you're the same person on all these different platforms, it also gives you more exposure, because not everybody is going to be on Facebook that might be the same on Instagram or Snapchat, and all these things that are out there, Twitter.
So consistency is key.
Yeah, consistency and transparency across the board. I think some of the YouTube research I had done recently, there's about 16 different platforms that are well recognized. So really, you should know all those platforms and be the same person on all of them.
Do you have a preferred platform, or do you think one performs better than another?
I think that I personally use Facebook because it's just convenient and I'm comfortable with it. I think an area that could be grown is YouTube. I think there's a lot of opportunity in YouTube still, which is an area I probably will expand. I don't personally know much about Snapchat or Twitter, but I see huge followings and people doing very well. When I do YouTube research, Snapchat and Twitter seem to be very common highlighted items in the marketing front.
Well, that kind of rolls us right into the next question. I know that you probably have a smartphone probably right in front of you right now. And
Yep.
One of the things I'm most interested in for other people out there is, what's your favorite app? And it doesn't have to be like chiropractic driven. It doesn't have to be business driven. But what are you using out there that other people might like, or they might be able to benefit in their day-to-day life?
App. So an app that I use on a daily basis to help me with accountability is just called Productive. That's the name of the app. And I put different things that I want to do on a daily basis, which are my core things. So if I just ran through the list on here today, my list is hit the gym, walk the dog, have 1 hour of gratitude, take my morning vitamins, take evening vitamins, go for a ride, go for a swim, read a book. That's, and looking up and being able to see that every day helps me hold myself accountable. That's not one I've really seen anybody else utilize, and it's pretty simple to use.
That's pretty cool, man.
I think other good one is like My Net Diary or MyFitnessPal. I think everybody, it should be like mandatory. Kids probably in school should have one of these apps and just track what they eat, exactly what they eat for a week or two. It doesn't have to be a long amount of time, because you tend to eat the same things, and you can quickly learn what are the good things, what are the bad things, and then make adjustments. As I've done that a few weeks at a time, as I've altered my diet to do research on myself and for our weight loss protocols and just improving my athletic performance. It's a very quick, efficient way to make changes when you see the numbers behind what you're consuming.
That's pretty sweet, man. I think everybody will benefit from those couple tips right there. I know that you just did something pretty extraordinary and something that challenged your athletic performance. Would you mind talking to us a little bit about what you just did recently over in Barcelona with the Ironman?
Sure. And I don't know where you want me to go specifically with it, other than it was an extreme challenge. It was a half Ironman, but a hard ocean swim with 2,500 other people, where you had feet in your face with your goggles potentially getting kicked off, and every second of the way, salt water leaking in, burning your eyes, sun glaring. So it was hard to sight where you're supposed to be going with all the feet in your face. And then when you did get a clear look, there's sun, making it just a massive glare. So it was challenging in every way there, outside of, you're swimming off of, the beach, so you can't touch or anything like that. And it's just a scary thing to go through open water swimming if nobody's ever done it. It's been a real growing experience for me personally. I highly recommend it to people. One of the reasons I got into triathlon and Ironman specifically was if my daughter ever was out in the water and needed to be saved, I wanted to be able to save her. So that's one of the underlying driving factors in that. And then I also had a major challenge on it's basically a straight up a mountain in Barcelona for the bike, 56 miles, and I had a flat tire, which after the race we realized there was a little piece of metal in there, but I had 3 flats through the race, and most people would not be able to finish the race because of that. And I rode a majority of the race on a flat tire because I was so determined to finish the race.
That doesn't sound like you.
Yeah. And it was hard, don't get me wrong. Riding, 56 miles, half of it up a mountain on a flat tire was brutal on my legs. And then I was, an hour and a half behind where I was supposed to be in the race at that point. So when I got to my half marathon, a 13-mile run, it was right in the heat of the day. So the heat was, much more than what I would have typically had to deal with, I feel like, had I been on my normal pace, which I hadn't accounted for. I've got to give a little love to ketones because I took ketones through that entire race, and I think that kept me on par on my run to be able to battle through. The funny, I don't know if it's funny, but I was so far behind on my bike because of my bike that I was worried about hitting the time limit to be able to complete the race and still get a finisher medal. I had never even crossed my mind to think about that, because I performed well in these races. So I'm, getting in the mid 6 hours mark, and I'm still got at least an hour or so to run to finish the race. And I didn't know if the race cutoff was 7:30 or 8 hours. So it helped push me too.
Yeah, man. It's really cool to hear some real life experience from you on what you did and how you accomplished it. And, I think that people, when you talk about being the same person you are on media as you are in person and being transparent and all those things, those markers that you were talking about early on in our interview, I think that what you just said is the essence of all of that. Now I want to go full circle with that. And how did chiropractic play in your life during your training for becoming Ironman and your performance level?
Absolutely priceless. I can't understand or even believe that people would try to do something like this without chiropractic. I mean, I train on average 11 sessions, 3 different disciplines. So I'll bike 4 times a week, run 4 times a week, swim 3 times a week type thing. And my swims are like 2 miles long. Here's a very simplistic example where I don't know how people can do this without chiropractic. I swim 2 miles. I'm a right-sided breather. Most people breathe to just one side. So think about the mechanics and how I'm just turning one side, 200, 300, 400 breaths in an hour and a half time frame over and over again. And it's similar to what a lot of people do in their jobs. Your job, you are typically doing a lot of the same mechanics over and over and over again. Well, you need people who understand your body to help reset those mechanics so that you don't create this massive dysfunction that catches up to you later in life. And I've got to give some credit to some nutritional education I have, and my ability to understand that stuff from my chiropractic degree, and how I am able to recover well, from hard training weeks, and then knowing my body and knowing when to back off slightly. And then I had an odd injury 3-4 months ago, fooling around, jumping off a big slide out in the ocean, and kind of landed awkwardly. And that probably would have shut a lot of people down for the season. The injury, that it affected my leg and how my leg was working, but I was able to manage it because of chiropractic care and improve. And I hope to be back on par in my A races in Louisville in October. So hopefully that race I'll be where I'm supposed to be and qualify for Kona in the World Championships for next year, and keep pushing forward and spreading the word, spreading the word of athletic excellence with chiropractic and representing chiropractic.
Yeah, man, that's really impressive. I think that a lot of people are going to learn about their personal abilities by listening to what you had to say on this podcast. And I know Luke has a couple more questions for you, maybe one or two, and then we're going to wrap up. But I can't say enough about how I've seen you come from the associate doctor position to somebody that's working towards becoming an Ironman. So, man, I'm just really proud of you, and it's been really awesome to see you from a distance performing and up in your game as well.
I sincerely appreciate that. And I want to say one quick thing, too. I'm just an average guy, Anybody can do this. It's just about putting together a plan and committing to it and moving forward. I see people that you would not expect at these Ironman events all the time. And it's really an inspiration as I see more and more people and find out more and more people that are doing it.
Well, earlier you mentioned that you use the Productive app to kind of keep track of all your daily activities, and you mentioned one of those was reading. Well, I think people would be interested to know, what does Dr. Matt Walker listen to? What does he read? Do you follow any blogs or podcasts regularly?
Yeah, a lot of times I'm purchasing my content these days from people that I think are experts in the industry. So most recently I've purchased Russell Brunson's book and some of his online training. Ed Osborne has an online training, a couple different online training protocols, which I'm a big fan of. I think he's a chiropractor who's doing great things for the profession, and us being able to expand our reach specifically. If I go a little more generic, Tony Robbins is always a good motivator, gives you some real life application, how to get yourself better. And then if I want something specific that I'm trying to, learn a new topic, maybe I'll get in a TEDx and search inside of TEDx. Those are probably the main things that I'm focused on as far as reading or listening to right now.
Well, cool, man. We are approaching the end of our time with you. I can't say enough about how I appreciate and Luke appreciates you stepping up and being our first interview for the Chiro Hustle podcast. And from everything you said, you are the essence of Chiro Hustle. And you becoming a doctor, you becoming the athlete, you becoming the leader, that's all Chiro Hustle mentality to me. And when it comes to people listening to this, I think they're going to learn a great deal about who Dr. Matthew Walker is, where you came from, what inspires you, and where you're going.
I'm truly honored. I really am, man.
So do you have any plugs you want to share with people? Where can they find you? Do you got a website or anything you want to share with everyone?
I think The easiest way to get a hold of me is to friend me on Facebook and send me a Facebook message. Facebook's about as transparent as I can be. You'll see me, my family, what I'm doing with my life there, and if you think I can be an influence and help you, then reach out to me there.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and tell your family hello for me, and I can't wait till we connect next, brother.
Will do, man. Again, it's truly an honor.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, Doc. We really appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you,
too.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.